up right now. This is a guy that believed in me at a point in my life where I didn't believe in myself, meaning when I was down in the dumps, he put his arm around me and said, Jeff, we're going to do this. And that's the type of leader that he is. He's somebody I believe believes more in people than they do in themselves. He pours into people all the time. He's a leader's leader, Circle of Champion member, been the #1 senior vice president worldwide in ACN for 14 going on 15 years in a row. And that is Senior Vice President, Mr. Patrick Mazer. The call is all yours, my friend.
Let me tell you what I believe. I believe that. I believe we're going to face everything. I believe that we will win.
Wow, I love Friday Night Leadership. I love to get a chance to celebrate human potential here together. First of which, I just want to honor all of you for taking time out to be here tonight. So few people will do what you've done here this evening, and that's take time out to pour into yourself, to learn how to take your life and your business to another level. How many of us agree? A lot of people complain about their situation. A lot of people are upset, and the government did it to me, and the Republicans did it to me, and the Democrats did it to me, but yet they don't come to a training that can radically change their life if they just decided to plug in, go to work, and do something great. But I just want to take a minute and let all of you guys know that that's not us here tonight. See, we're the ones out there making a difference. We're the ones out there doing something about our situation and giving hope and opportunity to anybody that's willing to listen. And I want to start by number one, thanking Jeff Street. Didn't he do an amazing job here tonight? You know, Jeff is an incredible leader, #1 regional vice president, him and his wife, Melissa, just two powerhouses in this opportunity and just incredible individuals. And not only that, great friends and people that I enjoy being right in the same neighborhood. We've got Rockstar Village in Texas. We all moved to Texas because we could. Look, 2019, none of us would live in the same neighborhood. I promise you that, because we knew we'd recruit everybody in the zip code and we'd have to move on to another zip code. But now with this technology, you could live right next to whoever you want to live with or whoever you want to live by, and you can build a global business. I mean, today alone, I was in the United Kingdom. Today alone, I was in the United Kingdom, and then I was in Atlanta, and then I was in New York, in Pennsylvania, in Ohio, and now I'm nationwide, global. Matter of fact, we've got people on here tonight from Australia. We've got people on here tonight from Europe. We were just talking to some of our European reps. It's daylight savings time a week early in Europe. So they're like, it's great. We actually can get on here before midnight and enjoy the training that all of you guys got a chance to take in this evening. And I want you to just to sit back and take in a little bit of information here as we wrap things up for the night. A couple things I want to talk about is number one, a system. See, a system brings predictable results. Our first couple years in ACN, we weren't having a lot of success. I had a big reason why. I had a big vision. I had a big dream. I was super motivated. But what I didn't understand is a system. So things that I could do and things that maybe you could do, everybody else couldn't do. And so we would go out and we would bring people in ACN, but we didn't know what to say. Say things like talk to people and, invite them to come take a look. And how many of us would agree when you're new at something, you have a tendency to give way too much information? How many of us, if you remember that first couple of days in ACN, and for some of you, this might be your first couple of days, how many of us, when people ask, what are you up to? And all of a sudden you give them a drink of water with a garden hose? Anyone know what I'm talking about? It's almost like somebody came up to you and said, hey, I'm thirsty. You said, great, hold on 1 second. And you pulled out a garden hose and you just sprayed it in their face. How many of us would agree after about 30 seconds, they're going to say, what? I'm not thirsty anymore. See, you overwhelm them with information. And see, these were the things that we did when we first got started. I can remember like yesterday, one of my reps coming in and saying, let's pass out flyers. And I thought, that's a great idea. I don't even know why I didn't think of that. And there he went off to the local supermarket and he was putting flyers on everybody's car. And I can remember we got our first phone call and I was all excited. The phone's ringing. I'm thinking, this is great. And, the gentleman that called was like, hi, how are you? Did you put flyers on cars today? And absolutely, that was us. And he said, great, I'm the store manager and you better come down here and pick up all these flyers in the parking lot before you get in trouble with the police. Now, how many of us agree? Imagine if you were working with us back then. How many of you would probably quit after that phone call? How many of you be saying, honey, you're right, right, honey, you were right. I should have never done this one. Or, these are the kind of things that we did when we first got started because we didn't know. And, what we started to do, and we started to take a look at franchising. Matter of fact, we went out and we bought a franchise, not because we wanted to own a franchise, but we wanted to see what happened when you bought a franchise. So we bought a Cartridge World. It was one of those ink replacements for your copy machines. And so the first thing we did is realize, number one, they charged a lot of money. How many of you ever looked at franchises? Right? There's not an inexpensive franchise out there, like inexpensive, like 30 grand. Right? So it was like, okay, well, you give us $30,000. The second thing is what we realized is they didn't ask our opinion. Meaning when we showed up and we had already bought our license to work with this specific company, they didn't ask us, hey, what do you think? Or, hey, what do you want to do? They were like, this is the way you have to build your franchise. And systematically, they taught us everything that you needed to do, including how do you greet the customer when they come in? How do you close the store? At what time do you start cleaning the counters down in the store? How do you go out and get a customer? What do you say to that potential customer? Literally step by step, word for word, they gave us everything you needed to have to be successful. And so what we did is we took all that information and we brought it into ACN. And we looked at all the things that worked in ACN and all the things that didn't work in ACN. And we put together a system that allows for people to plug in with no background, no education in this industry, no background in this industry, and you can go to the top of the compensation plan. When you see somebody like Mark Washam, and Mark said something that I took a note on. He said, look, if this is your first time getting involved in the direct sales industry, you hit one out of the park. I mean, it's almost like if you moved to America or you were born in America, how many of us agree you did a great thing? Like you're a very fortunate human being. And so the first thing that we realized was we had to become duplicatable. Does that make sense? Meaning we had to do something that was so simple that anybody could do. So the first thing we did is we identified who were the type of people that would succeed in this type of an opportunity. And we went down a list of people that fell into a couple categories. And if you can type on the chat tonight, I want to first of which ask anybody who's owned a business in the past or currently owns a business now. Anybody that has owned a business in the past or currently owns a business now, if you could just type it in the chat, I've owned a business or I own a business, great. Now look, you can see the chat's lighting up. It's Friday Night Leadership. We've got a lot of business owners on here tonight. So what we realized was business owners are looking for opportunities. They're open-minded. They always look for other ways of making money. Number two, they network by nature. Does that make sense? Can we agree if you're a business owner on here, you don't turn meetings down? I still do not turn meetings down. People call me up and, hey, we'd like to introduce you to something. Sure, I'll sit in a meeting. I'll listen to somebody's opportunity. Why? Because that might be a potential customer for me. That might be another connection for me. See, as a business owner, can we agree we think a certain way? Now, this part that I'm sharing with you took us 6 years to understand. See, when I first got in, I thought we had to go after broke people. Anyone know what I'm talking about? Man, I was like, I'm going down to the unemployment line, right? And I'm going down and talk to every unemployed person in America. And here was the crazy part. They were unemployed for a reason. How many of us agree with that? Right? So all of a sudden, I'm out there talking to people that, hey, I'm skeptical. And here's what I found is the broker they were, the more skeptical they were. How many of you figured that one out too? Right? Oh, I don't believe in something like this. And here's the reality is, so we then started to figure out what was an individual that we could have success with. And number one, if you're taking notes, business owner. Somebody that has I don't care if they own a roofing business, a cleaning business, a auto repair business, an accounting business, anybody that's self-employed is the people that I run after. Matter of fact, that is the first person I want to talk to. How many of you would agree that own a business here tonight? There's nothing glamorous about business ownership. The only people that think business ownership is glamorous are people that don't own a business, yes or no? How many of you ever had people come up, man, it must be great, own your own business? You're like, yeah, it's great, all right. I'm writing checks to people that are making more money than me. Prior to ACN, I had a small business. I remember people go, man, yeah, you must be doing good. I'm doing good on that. All right. I'm taking all the problems, all the stress, all the overhead, all the operating costs. So can we agree a business owner is going to look at the world a little differently? Second type of person, people that have had direct sales experience. People that have had direct sales experience. Do you realize that anybody that's been in the direct sales space, probably the majority of them had to sell a product? Had to sell a product. Now, look, there's nothing wrong with that, but can we agree you're changing a buying habit, right? You're getting them to do one thing and then switching them to go do something else. If you sell a nutritional, you got to find people that are healthy. Now, can we agree America has a lot of fast food restaurants? Right or wrong, right? A lot of Miller Lite being sold in America. So now here you are out there trying to sell a product to somebody, and now you're playing the convincing game. Oh, here's what's in it. This is what it does to you. Heck, you got to be half a doctor, yes or no, to be able to explain what's in the product that you're trying to sell to somebody. And number three, they've got to keep buying it, yes or no. They got to keep buying it. So anytime I was brought with direct sales, I was always like, look, I'm already doing something already. If I needed to sell something, I would just sell what I'm selling because there's really no difference. Meaning there wasn't a true residual income opportunity if you really stood back and looked at it. They got to keep buying in order for you to keep getting paid. And then the third type of person, somebody that made over 100 grand a year. See, you heard tonight Alejandra Kalman. See, she was the vice president of compliance for American Express. Now, can we agree to become the vice president of something at American Express? You got to be a super dedicated human being, right or wrong? Meaning you got to take the work home on the weekends. You got to go on vacation with your laptop. Heck, at those levels right there, how many of you know somebody that is at a senior position in a company and you would think they own the company? Does that make sense? Meaning they talk from here's what we do at GM or here's what we do at Coca-Cola. It's like you're an executive with them. You don't even own the company, but your mindset is one of ownership because usually the better the company does, the better the executives do. So now we started to put together this list. And now when I met somebody, I would ask them a couple questions. Hey, number one, who do you know that's owned a business? Write their names down. Who would you call if you needed your plumbing done? Write their name down. Who would you call if you needed accounting done? Write your name down. Who would you call if you needed your home repair? Who would you call if you needed your house sold? Who would you call if you needed a new roof? Who would you call if you needed electrical done? How many of you understand what I'm doing? See, I started massaging people's thinking of who to call. The second thing is I asked them, who do you know in direct sales? See, I've seen people come into this opportunity. Noah Brandy, he's a regional vice president. He was already in network marketing when he took a look at ACN. ACN was just a better opportunity than what he was doing previously. So I didn't have to tell him, hey, you got to write a list. He already knew that. I didn't have to tell him, hey, you should go to training. He was already ready to go to training because he had experience in the industry. And then the fourth type of person is somebody in real estate. We've got Peter Pasternak on here tonight. Peter is a real estate investor. He was on A&E Flip This House for 3 seasons. When he took a look at ACN, he saw how this went hand in glove in the real estate community. Matter of fact, yesterday signed up an individual that has over 500 properties that controls the electric bill at all 500 properties. See, as a landlord, the guy was like, look, I don't want people to cancel their electric and then the new tenant move in and get electric. I just keep it on all 500 properties. And as people move in and out, the electricity's already on and I just pack it into their rent. He said, so let me get this straight. If I bring 500 utility bills to ACN, based on the bonus we all looked at here this evening, it's over $50,000 that he's going to get in upfront bonuses. Now, how many of you agree that's a $50,000 yes, right or wrong? Like, I'm in. So the point that I'm making is real estate professionals. So the first thing in our business is you got to identify who to talk to. Now, did I talk to my best friend? Absolutely. Did I talk to my cousin? Absolutely. But did I realize they probably weren't going to do it? Now, I say that today, 19 years later, at the time I was talking to them, I thought everybody was going to do it. I mean, I must have been the most naive human being that ever lived. I thought MLM, multi-level marketing, meant making lots of money. I'm thinking, who doesn't want to make lots of money? Like, I was completely shocked that my best friend and my cousin weren't even interested in what I was doing. But after we understood a system, and after we studied the franchising model, and after we started to bring that into this opportunity, we could bring people into this business and they could have undeniable success because they could follow a system. No different than McDonald's. How many of you would agree if you bought a McDonald's, they can guarantee success? You've never seen a McDonald's going out of business sale, right? Do they have the best product in America? Absolutely not. How many of you eaten a McDonald's burger before and question even what's in it? Right? So the point that I'm making is systems bring predictability. So now what we did is we stood back and said, okay, great. Here are the people that you want to talk to. Here's where you want to spend your time in inviting. Now, how many of us would agree words matter? Words matter. See, then we had to come up with what to say. See, we never even thought about a script. I didn't even think you needed a script for your best friend. I didn't think I needed a script for my cousin. I didn't think I needed a script for people that I knew. I just thought, hey, dude, come on over to my house. We're going to talk about making money. So then it came out with the script. And what we found is if you followed the script, you were inevitably going to have success. And I've watched people that sold out to the script and had lots of people show up to their presentations. And then I've had some people that changed it just a little. Anybody else know what I'm talking about? Right? You got the old recipe from your mom, right? The food that you love, but then you wanted to change a little bit of the recipe. Hey, maybe not so much sugar, maybe not so much salt. And it didn't end up the way you wanted it, all because you changed a little bit. So then we started to practice what to say. And I would bring people in. I'd say, listen, words matter. What you say matters. Now, number one, you're going to be nervous. Anybody that starts something new is nervous. Look, here's my experience. Why do more people not try things? Because they don't want to go through the awkwardness of trying something new. Yes or no? They don't want to go through that. I don't want to look bad. See, if you ever notice that people at the end of their life, all of a sudden say all the things that they should have done. Hey, I should have did this and I should have done that. And you go, why didn't you? Because fear has left them at the end of their life, yes or no? And so now we stood back and said, let's practice what to say. You go ahead and invite me. I'll invite you. You invite me. Do you look at other ways of making money? Great. I look at other ways of making money too. Let me tell you who I met. And then we taught them a secret. And the secret was called edification. Edification means to build up, to talk good about. Let me give you an example. If I were to call any of you this evening and said, listen, tomorrow I'm having a meeting in my house. I'm going to have a meeting about the trash business. Folks, let me tell you something. It is going to be an exciting event. Matter of fact, I'm going to have a dump truck in front of my house. I'm going to have a trash truck in front of my house. I'm going to have dumpsters in front of my house. I'm going to have trash cans in front of my house. We're going to have live demonstrations. Bring your wife, bring your checkbook, come over to my house, and we're going to have a meeting about the trash business. Now, how many of you here tonight would say that's probably a meeting I'm not going to go to, right? But what if I were to call you up and say, listen, I have a meeting tomorrow about the trash business. The gentleman that's coming to my house, his name is Wayne Huizinga. Now, Wayne Huizinga started a company called Waste Management and made billions and billions and billions of dollars. And he wants to share with us how he was able to take one trash truck and turn it into an entire empire in the trash business. Do you want to come? What changed? Edification. Does that make sense? Now, if you didn't know who Wayne Huizinga was, can we agree? I had to explain it to you. He is an icon in the space. He's an incredibly successful human being. I don't even know how I got his time, but I've got about 30-minute window of his time, and I'm only inviting a handful of people, and I thought about you. Is that something you think you could make? See, that little piece that I'm sharing with you right now is 6 years of my life. 6 years of struggling, 6 years of trying to convince people to come take a look at an opportunity to save $20 on their cell phone bill or to save $5 on their natural gas bill. And I struggled. And it wasn't until we stood back and realized edification is what gets people to show up. See, it's the way you talk about your presenter. See, it doesn't matter who your presenter is. Some people go, well, I need to have Jeff Street, or I need to have Monica Bernardino, or I need to have Joel Hulk, or I need to have Peter Pastrnak, whoever that individual. See, it doesn't matter who you have. You are the one that puts the value in the presenter. It's your words that put the value in the presenter. And so you've got to become great at talking about your presenter. Because think about it. If I'm new at something and I call up somebody I do business with, and hey, Roy, it's Patrick. How are you? I know you've been in the accounting industry a long time. Do you ever look at other ways of making money outside of accounting? You do? Great. Hey, Roy, so do I. And I want to tell you about an individual I got a chance to meet. His name is Joel Hulk. He's an incredible individual. He's a multi-business owner. Everything this guy touches turns to gold. He's doing a Zoom presentation with me about a business that he's promoting, and I'd love for you to get a chance to sit in on it. It's about a 20-minute presentation. He's incredibly successful. He's a great human being for you to get a chance to meet. He's somebody that you definitely want to have in your database, even for future opportunities. Can I put you down for coming? Well, I've got some questions. Hey, well, listen, so do I. But I'm in the t-shirt business, and thank God it has nothing to do with t-shirts, but I want to get a chance to hear what he has to say. Can I put you down for coming? Okay, great. Now, let me tell you the third part. So the first thing we talked about is who to call. The second thing we talked about is what to say. The third thing we talk about is a confirmation list. Now, Jeff can tell you stories, and some of the veterans that are on, JT Thomas, some of the Rick Cordero, I mean, some of the regional vice presidents like Ken and Susie Potter, we could tell you story after story after story of driving, not clicking on a mouse, of driving, in some cases, hours at a time to go to a presentation, and one or two people showed up. And those one or two people were usually mom that couldn't get out of the situation because she lived across the yard, and the best friend that they called in a panic 15 minutes before the meeting saying their house was on fire, and they came over thinking they were going to put a fire out. And next thing, we were there. So what we did is we realized was people needed a confirmation call. Now, how many of you have been to a chiropractor and got a confirmation call? How many of you go to get your hair done? Ladies, right? You get a confirmation call. Hey, we're just confirming for the appointment today at 2 o'clock to make sure you're here. Now, why do you do those things? Because you got to inspect what you expect. Does that make sense? Now, we live in a busy world, and a lot of people say, yes, I'll be there, I'll be there, I'll be there, but they're driving down the road with the kids in the back. They didn't take out their itinerary and block off 6 o'clock on Thursday. They didn't take out their itinerary and block off 7 o'clock on a Wednesday for your meeting. They just agreed to come. And can we agree? They forgot about the fact they agreed to come. But if somebody calls them outside of the host or outside of the hostess and just says, hey, my name's Patrick, I'm just confirming that you'll be at the Zoom meeting tonight at 7 p.m. Do you have the information? Here's what we found. That phone call took our averages from 0 to 40% to 40 to 60% show up rate, where we can have a 40 to 60% show up rate by just adding a confirmation call. Now, look, I know some of you might be thinking to yourself, well, Patrick, I want to do it the way you did it. I want to drive across the state for a no-show. I want to fly across the country for 2 people. I want to fill my car up and spend 6 hours driving one way to meet the guy's mom and his best friend. See, none of us want you to go through what we went through. So now what we want you to do is just follow a proven system. You heard that with Michael Eric. You heard that from Al Bellington. Everybody who had a chance to talked about coachability and following a system. See, look, if Oprah called McDonald's tonight and said, listen, I want to buy a couple franchises, how many of us would agree McDonald's would be pretty happy, right? Oprah called. Are you freaking kidding me? We're going to be doing business with Oprah, one of the most powerful people in the world. But what if Oprah called McDonald's and said, look, I want to take a handful of your restaurants, but I want to change it from the Big Mac to the Big O. Now, what do you think McDonald's is going to say? They're going to say what? Hey, Oprah, sorry, we'd love to do business with you, but we're not going to change it for anybody, including you. Right or wrong? We're not going to bend on the system. We're not going to change the way we do business. Why? Because we sold billions and billions and billions of hamburgers before you even came into our store. So the point that I'm making is the more you stick to the system, the easier it is for you to coach the next person on how to do the same thing. You can't teach what you haven't done. How many of us would agree with that statement? You can't authentically teach what you haven't done. You can't say to somebody, hey, make a list of people and here's who I called and this is what I said if you didn't do it. So the reality is that our job is to be the greatest example for the people that follow behind us. See, the more that we can duplicate what works, the bigger and faster you can build an organization. Now, the final thing is you heard Melissa talk about a testimonial. Do you realize before we train testimonials, we used to say to people, hey, Bruce, tell everybody a little bit about yourself. Man, let me tell you, my mom would become my customer. We used to have people say all kinds of stuff. You're like, oh my God, like I can't, because they were nervous. And what we didn't realize is when people were nervous, how many of you agree anything comes out of your mouth when you're nervous? Right or wrong, you say things, and look, these people have spent all week long making phone calls to get people to come take a look at ACN. And we said, Bob, tell everybody a little bit about it. And it was like, it all started when I was 7. My grandma said I was special. You're like, oh my Lord, where are we going with this story? And I've had people take 6 and 8 and 10 minutes talking about something that was completely irrelevant to what the subject at hand we were talking about. So why do we train the testimonials? Because if you train them what to say, how many of you agree everybody says what they're trained to say, even when they're nervous? So think about this for 1 second. There's 3 things that people are going to ask. Number 1, what is it? If they come to the presentation and they can listen and read, how many of you agree they pretty much figure out what it is? Hey, it's in the phone industry, it's in direct sales, it's essential services. Okay, great. Second question everybody has, does it work? That's where the testimonial comes in. See, if I can call on Dr. Julie and she says, Patrick, I got 27 customers. How many of you agree it works? Why? Because she's gotten customers. Now we don't have to question what we do works. The third question everybody has is, can I do it? See, for those of you that have been to presentations, you know that at the end of the presentation, we show them something extremely simple. Meaning, how many of you have been to a presentation and at the end of the presentation, we do this? Can you go out and get 5 services? Great. That's a yes question. Between you and everyone you know on planet Earth, including your own bills, can you invite some people to a Zoom and let us do the presentation? Yes. Great. Boom. There you get another bonus. If you signed up in November or October and you can do this in 30 days from the day you start, you make $925 in just bonuses. Now, does everybody make $925? Everybody's not trying to make $925. Does that make sense? Like everybody works at their own pace. But the point that I'm making is that's what we show everybody. But this is the final part. We talk about positioning. Tonight's meeting. This is Richard's meeting tonight. And Richard is looking for his first 4 representatives, 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you get involved tonight, we're going to sign you up as 1, 2, 3, and 4. Everybody else Richard brings in, 5, 6, 7, and 8, are all going to fall underneath 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, would you want to be number 1 or would you want to be number 8? I think I want to be number 1. How do I spell your name? How do I spell? Is that your name on that phone of yours, or do I got to ask for a real legal governmental name? So the reason I share that with you, that's the final part of our system, is then being able to show them the value of positioning. Does that make sense? Because why? People are procrastinators. Look, how many of you read the book? There's an entire chapter on procrastination, an entire chapter. Now, can we agree if they took the time to interview the wealthiest people on planet Earth and all of them said the number 1 reason of failure is procrastination? Now, how many of us would agree when they're sitting in the Zoom meeting, it's $199, 25 bucks a month. We're not talking about spending any real money here. I mean, I'm not here to make fun of $199, but I'm here to tell you I spent more on 2 shrubs in the front of my house than $199. 2 shrubs that I'm going to kill a dog if I see a piss on it, right or wrong. Like, so the point that I'm making is that we're not talking about a big decision. What we're talking about is getting them in the mindset of making a decision. See, I like a yes and I like a no. How about you feel the same way? The maybes, right? The maybes kill us, yes or no. I don't know. I'm not sure. It's the agony of making a decision for most people. That's why I like business owners. And the reason I like business owners, because business owners have a decision muscle. Yes or no? Business owners that are on here tonight, do you not make decisions every single day? Some right and some wrong, but you make them every day. How many of you ever been to a store or in a business and say, hey, can you do it at this price? I go, well, I don't know. And I got to talk to this person, that I got to go talk to this person. I got to go talk, right? And by the time they climb the chain, eventually they get somebody high enough in the organization that just makes a decision. Yeah, that's no problem. Send them out the door. Who cares? See, it's all about making that decision. So now that you understand the system of who to call, now you understand what to say. Now you understand how to put together the confirmation list of everybody that says they were coming. And now you got to put the work in. Now, look, in my opinion, this isn't work. This is not, and we've all worked before, yes or no? If this is work, great. People like, you're still doing it? Yeah, it's still simple. You know what I mean? It's still easy. And with Zoom, it got even easier. Like the height of laziness, in my opinion, in the modern world is keeping your camera off. Like that to me is like going to Walmart with your slippers on. Like you've literally given up, right or wrong. Like you are literally wearing slippers in Walmart. Like it's the end, right? God's going to move you on to the next life. But the point that I'm making is it can't get any easier than it is right now. So now let me tell you what you do. You get a couple people in your team, right? I got a couple people in my team. You got a couple people in your team. Now what do? We got to get them trained. See, if you're a business owner, you know that you have to train them, yes or no? Meaning if I started a coffee shop and I brought in 3 employees, I have to teach them what? How to run the cash register, right? I got to teach them all the ingredients that go into that coffee. I got to teach them pricing. I got to teach them how to greet the customer. Why? Because I want to have success in my business. And the bigger your business, the more training matters, yes or no? The more it becomes important. Look, if you go to work for a pharmaceutical industry, they won't even let you talk to anybody of importance until they put you into 3 and 4 months of training. 3 and 4 months of training. And so now we get people in ACN, right or wrong, and we go, what? Go get them. And then you wonder why they don't have a lot of success because we never took any time to train them. How many of you agree the first phone call is the hardest one? That's the one they get punched right in the face. They don't know the script. They don't know what to say. They're back on their heels. They take their dreams, they put them in a box and stick the dream back in the closet. How many of you would agree that happens? That happens. See, look, this is an awesome responsibility when you bring somebody in. This is a responsibility to lead them the right way. And imagine if you could say to somebody, listen, we all live a busy life. You know, would we agree that we need to take a little time to learn what it is that we want to do? If we want to make money, like, look, we want to make a hobby money. We could probably watch a couple YouTube videos, figure it out and go make hobby money. But if we wanted to go past hobby money, we need to be trained professionally. Right? We got to know everything there is to know about the services. We got to know everything there is to know about the compensation plan. We got to know who we're doing business with. We got to understand, you know, who's the people that I can lean on in certain situations to get things done based on the fact that we want to build something big. Well, here's what's unique about our business is we can do these meetings and we can influence people and we can give them some knowledge and give them some training. But how did you learn a language? How many of you have taken a language in school where maybe it was 2 days a week for an hour and after a semester you could say a sentence, right? But you took a whole semester to figure all that out. How many of you have ever been to another country and within 1 day you figured out what the word bathroom was or how to order water or how to order chicken or whatever that was? Why? Because they submerged you in the information. See, submerging somebody in information is the only way for them to be able to jump the learning curve, to be able to go from challenges and problems and situations to actually being on the other side of that by knowing what to go do. Now, Mark Washam, who we spoke about here tonight, he came out to our California event. And I can remember talking to Mark, and, you know, he has a life with kids and a family and a big insurance practice. And look, a lot going on. But he made the decision to go out to California, brought Jacques with him, you know, an incredible executive team leader. He's in the top executive team leaders here today. But let me tell you what he did. He made the decision to go, and then he influenced people on his team to go. Does everybody see what happened? He made the decision to go, then he influenced people on the team to go. And because he went to that event with multiple people on his team, he came back, hit regional director, and tonight he's the #1 regional director in all of the team here this evening. Now, is that a coincidence? Is that an accident? Did that happen by chance? No, that happened by proper preparation. Now, here's what I'll share with you is ACN has something coming up this weekend. Matter of fact, it's a Saturday event. We're going to start at 9 a.m. We're going to go at 5 o'clock. We're going to be at the Westin Hotel Galleria. That's right in the heart of Dallas, Texas. And ACN's going to put on one of their events. Now, here's my experience. The only reason I went to this event when I first got started in ACN, because the person that recruited Mike and I wouldn't leave us alone. Wouldn't leave us alone. Like, I literally went because I was like, I don't want to hear this again. Like, what do I have to do? She's like, oh, you got to go. And this is important. Everybody got to go. But let me tell you what that phone call did for her. Because she pushed us to go, because she was nonstop about us going to that event, today she sits on top of an empire. And the only thing she did right is got us to go. Now, look, I wasn't reading these books 19 years ago. Heck, I was more concerned on the hair on my head than what was in my head. Anyone know what I'm talking about? I was more concerned on the way my hair looked than the way my brain looked. And so the point that I'm making is that she got us to go to the event, and the event is what opened our eyes up to what we're doing here today. Why did I stick around year after year, not making a lot of money? Because I went to that event. See, I met people that were making a lot of money. I got a chance to interact with them. I got a chance to see them. I got a chance to talk to them. And so although I wasn't having success, I saw people that were. And that kept us in the game long enough until we figured it out. Does that make sense? Because anything else I looked at, it was like, it ain't residual. Anything else I looked at, it was like, well, look, I met some people that are making residual income, and what you're showing me right now isn't residual income. So it always brought me back to ACN because I had seen a national convention. So here's my suggestion for all of you this evening is, number one, every meeting I do, the meeting I do tomorrow at 11:30, the meeting I do tomorrow at 1 o'clock, the meeting that I'll do on Monday, the meeting that I'll do on Tuesday, guess how I'll end every one of those calls? If you're interested in what you hear and you can afford to buy a $199 come in and a plane ticket, do both. If you can't afford to do both, buy a plane ticket. Because I would rather you spend one day with us and tell us this isn't what you want to do than waste any time of my life trying to get you to be successful at something you're probably not going to want to do. Or come and spend one day and then make a decision on what you want to do with this. So imagine if you could bring them to the event and you just sit back and relax, and somebody else trains them. Somebody else teaches them. Somebody else motivates them. Somebody else shows them what to do and how to do it. And all you have to do is be there with them. See, once I understood this part, I became great at promoting events. But here's what I realized. Most people's priorities are messed up. That's why most people retire dependent on the government. That's why most people retire with no money in the bank. That's why most people spend more time planning their summer vacations than they do their life. That's most people. Look, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. Yes or no? You and I both know this is most people you and I deal with. But what's going to get them to become successful is the way they think. And it starts by getting them in a successful environment. See, how many of you would agree that if you ever notice how they take the Olympic athletes and they put them in the Olympic village, where they eat breakfast with other athletes, where they eat lunch with other athletes, where they eat dinner with other, guess what they're talking when they're done working out? They're talking about what they can do better, how they can become better. what they can, and they're hanging out with other people that are influencing them. Now, let me give you an example. So there's a gentleman named Jimmy Ivey, and Jimmy Ivey was the co-founder of Interscope Records. How many of you ever heard of Interscope Records? Interscope Records had things like Dr. Dre, Eminem, right? Lady Gaga. Anybody know who some of these are? Snoop Dogg, right? And so Jimmy Ivey was the co-founder of Interscope Records. And there he was, a massively successful person. Matter of fact, if you measured his success, he was at the very top of anybody in the world that would consider him to be successful. But things changed in the music industry. What changed? All of a sudden, you could download music and you didn't have to buy an album anymore. Now imagine if you spent all your life building a record company and overnight technology changed the way people listen to music, and they were stealing your copyrighted music that you used to get a royalty on, that they no longer were paying a royalty on. Now this guy was watching his empire crumble in front of him. See, but he was a smart human being. And you know what he said? I've got to go spend time with Steve Jobs. See, if I can get with Steve Jobs, I can start thinking the way he's thinking. Does that make sense? Now, did Steve Jobs pick up and move to Southern California to meet this guy? Absolutely not. He had to move himself to Washington State and eat lunch with Steve Jobs when he was available, hang out when Steve Jobs was available, spend time with them at Steve Jobs's schedule. But let me tell you what happened to this individual. Because of the environment that he was in, he came back to Southern California and he started a business called Beats. Now, how many of you ever seen people walking around the airports with Beats headsets on? He took that idea and sold it for $3 billion, dwarfed anything he would have ever done in Interscope Records, meaning what he had done at Interscope Records was child's play compared to what he was able to do because he got in the right environment. Now, look, there's some people that are at the top of their game that are looking to even go to the next level. And then there's some people that have had some successes and some things changed and COVID came and all kinds of stuff that were outside of their control happened, but they have to get in the environment for them to go to the next level in life. I'm telling you this because everybody you and I talk to, we've got to remember who we're talking to. There's going to be a tug of war when you talk to people. Hey, I got to watch the kids. Great. Who can I pay to watch the kids? Hey, I got to move this weekend. Great. Who can I pay to move you this weekend? Hey, I've got to be at the store this weekend. Great. Tell your boss you're taking off on Saturday. Oh, he'll fire me. No, he won't. There's such a lack of employment right now in the country. Even if he fires you, he'll rehire you on Monday, I promise you. Right? See, but you've got to have that kind of a conversation with people because remember, you're wrestling with average. Does that make sense? Meaning they're coming into the conversation thinking, and I'll give you an example. If I were to tell anybody this Saturday, we've got 50-yard line tickets to their favorite team, whatever that team is, how many of you agree they would find a way to go? They would call their boss and say they had a stroke and they're on the way to the hospital. Right? I'm having a stroke, right? Boss would be so happy on Monday that they actually look normal, but they would do anything. They would get resourceful because society has said watching a bunch of people run up and down the field is where everybody needs to be. Yes or no? See, that's called social conditioning. And the reason why I say that is that as you go into those conversations in the next 5 days, know that a plane ticket's inexpensive, right or wrong. Look, if they can't afford to go, they can't afford not to go. They can't afford to miss it. They cannot afford, their family cannot afford for them not to go. So you got to take a stand for people. And what do I mean by taking a stand for people? What do we need to do? How do we work around this? Let me get my regional director involved. Let me get my executive team leader involved. Let me get my regional vice president involved. Let's do a 3-way call and let's put our heads together of what we can do in order for you to be able to come with us on a 1-day event. Now, remember, we're not asking them to go away for 10 days. This isn't a franchise training that I had to go through for 2 weeks that they kept you in a room for 2 weeks teaching you everything that I'm telling you here today. This is a one-day event. Now, the cost is $29. Look, here's what I know. ACN is probably the least expensive training that's in America right now, yes or no, at $29. I paid more for one credit in one class about sociology that I haven't used since the day I walked out of that class, right? So I'm not here to knock education, but I am here to tell you it's expensive. But the opportunity for, number one, them to come with us. Number two, putting them in the environment for them to win. And number three, let somebody else train your team to be successful. How many of us like that idea? How many of us like that idea to let somebody else train them on how to be successful? Now, here's the good news. Negative people don't come. How many of you need some break from negative people? Anytime I talk to a negative person, hey, you're going to come to the national convention on Saturday? I never go there. Good, good, good. You stay home, right or wrong. You stay home and rearrange the garage, right? You probably need to do that anyway, right? But how many of you realize that life is all about making a difference? Look, what does everybody do at the end of their life that has a bunch of money? Gives it all away. Yes, what's Warren Buffett doing? Giving it all away. Why? You know what they realize at the end of their life? It ain't about the stuff. It's about the impact. It's about making the difference. See, you have the opportunity to impact somebody's family, not them, the people that are close to them, the kids that they brought into this world, the grandkids that they're going to affect in this world, all because you put them in an environment to win. But for those of you guys that want to make a bunch of money, look, with this technology, I believe people will be making millions and millions of dollars, number one, with no overhead. Do you realize that I didn't even have to put gas in my car in the last 30 days based on the fact that I've used Zoom technology? Like, I literally go out of my house just to go out of my house. Like, I don't even have to go out of my house. See, you've got to realize that there are going to be people that are going to come into this opportunity. They're going to strap themselves in front of a computer, and they're going to break every record this company's ever had. Why? Because they can do things that we couldn't even imagine doing in 2019. They can get in front of people we could have never got in front of in 2019. And so I know that there's records to be broken. If that's you here this evening and you want to break some records, or you want to build a team that is legendary in this opportunity, how many people are you bringing with you to the event? Now, we've got a couple of things that I'm going to wind up and leave you with. Number one, how to get registered. Make sure you know how you can register people. There's a QR code we're going to show you. This is going to give you an opportunity to take a picture. Make sure you register. Now, look, you can register everybody as a guest. Doesn't matter if they're a rep or not. The ticket's the ticket. Does that make sense? If you register as a guest, you don't have to put any IBO number. You just put your email address and your name, and the ticket's waiting for you. They're going to shoot you a ticket. That's how you get a ticket into this event. So again, I don't care who you're talking to. This is the most important thing you can do for them. Again, if you want them to see them succeed and have success, you got to have this conversation with people. And I'm so happy that, again, the woman that brought us into this, she literally had this conversation with me so many times that I was like, I'm going. Number two, we're going to have a VIP event on Friday night. So we're going to take out the VIP winners. Now, the good news about being a VIP winner is you don't have to hope that you hit it. You can make it happen. You go ETL and you bring in 10 IBOs in your team from the 1st of October to the 11th of November. So that means you have till today, till Thursday. You basically have 6 days to go out and put 11 people in your team. It's not that big of a deal. It's a big of a deal if you think it is. It's really not that big of a deal if you actually go to work and put people in front of it. Like, it's not that big of a deal. People are looking for what we have. Now, what does that mean? That means we take you out to dinner, VIP, all the senior VPs, all the RVPs. We're going to have 2 of the owners going to be at that dinner. It's going to be very intimate. Obviously, everybody's not going to be at that dinner because everybody can't be, based on the fact that you got to do something to get invited to the dinner. So it's a big deal. Then these are the people that have already qualified. Congratulations to every name that you see. But I know as the weeks or as the days move forward, there's people that are literally 2 and 3 reps away from qualifying. So we're excited about those individuals. And then on Saturday night, starting at 7 p.m., we're going to have an event that is going to be exciting. It's going to be, recognition event. It's going to be a plated dinner. It's going to have entertainment. It's going to have all kinds of socializing. You're going to get a chance to sit next to the owners of the company, ask questions, be able to access people that normally you don't get to access just by coming to an event. Does that make sense? Meaning Mike and I were regional directors before we got a chance to sit down and really have a conversation with one of the principals of the company. Now, the entire event is $70, 70. That's the entire event. Now, what you also get is you get to go to Mike Mazur's house on Sunday for a brunch before you leave. So he's going to have a brunch at his home. It's going to be a catered event. He's close to DFW airport. So it's literally within maybe 8 miles of the airport. So you can come have brunch with your team, get a chance to see how Michael's living and get a chance to see where you'll be living, because we all live in the same neighborhood. So lots of houses. You can knock on our neighbor's house. Hey, I heard your house is for sale. Everything's for sale for the right price. Yes or no? Everything's for sale. Here's what I love about it. All you have to do is just say, okay, well, here's my checkbook. What would you want for something like this? And like, I don't know. Go ahead, think of a number here. I would like to be Mike Mazur's neighbor, so I can see that you're probably bored of this area. So let's move you down the street and let me move in next door. So that's going to take place on Sunday. You can catch a flight on the way out Sunday afternoon, be back to your respective markets. But this is going to be something we're extremely, extremely excited about, as you can probably tell. So everybody you talk to, number one, take the system in. Saturday of this week, bring a notebook with you, record it, really learn the ins and outs of what you need to know and what your team needs to know in order to create a legacy business for your family, to be able to do something that outlasts you. I mean, how many of us here would love to know that our family got paid on something that we did? That's something that continues to come in long after you're no longer here. That's what we're talking about here tonight. And I know I'm not talking to everybody, but I'm talking to a handful of people this evening that said, you're talking to me. And if that's you, I can't wait to meet your team on Saturday. It's going to be a lot of fun. Get ready to have a good time. It's business casual. So just to let everybody know, business casual in 2021, I mean, that could even jeans. I mean, that's business casual. So don't be afraid of that part. Just come, be there with us. Let's go make history together. And look, we got a lot to be grateful for. There are a lot of people tonight that put their dreams away. There's a lot of people today that have countdown clocks on retirement. There's a lot of people that can't wait to sit in the front yard and watch the leaves turn, right? Yes, sir. Like there's a lot of people that's pretty much it. Look, they're moving on to the next life. They're like, oh, I had enough of this one. I'm just waiting for the next one to come. See, that's not us here this evening. We should be grateful. In the book, it says, through gratitude, you'll get more. Be appreciative of what you have, and more shall be added onto you. But if you're not grateful for what you have, they're not going to give you any more if you're not grateful for what you have. So with that, I'd love to end it the way I think we should, especially from all the craziness that all of us have experienced in the last 18 months. I'd love to turn it over to Ken and Susie Potter, amazing regional vice presidents. We were this time last week, Ken, how about it? He was in Texas with us. We were out having a good time. I mean, it was amazing to spend time with both you and your wife. But thank you for all you do. And if you don't mind, just lead us in a prayer of thanks and a prayer of gratitude here this evening. I'll turn the call over to you.
It was great seeing you guys and hanging out with you. And I can't wait until next weekend. So you guys, what Patrick said is true. Let's wrap up in gratitude. So if you're so inclined, let's bow our heads and we'll pray together. Father God, thank you so much. We do have so much to be grateful for. We know that there's strife in the world, that there's just so much happening out there, Lord, but people need what we have, what we had tonight. Just like-minded people coming together, encouragement from every single person, lifting people up, celebrating human potential. Lord, I'm just so confident in my soul that the world needs what we have. And we're grateful for tonight. We're grateful for the co-founders of this company, for the four men that came together, that you gave a vision to that it would turn into what it's turned into today. But even more importantly, that it's going to be something even bigger in the future. Lord, for Patrick and Michael that always come, no matter how they're feeling, no matter the challenges that they might be going through, they come every single time for us, Lord, and take a stand for our families. And we're so grateful for that. Father, we know that in a crowd this size, that there's people that are just waiting for that one word of encouragement. Lord, for those people that are on tonight, Lord, just remind them that you made them a masterpiece. Father, that never before and never again will there be someone created exactly like them. Lord, and for that, we're just grateful that we all have our own skills and the things that we can bring to this team and to this family. So, Father, thank you for the successful environment. Lord, we are addicted to change lives. That's our mission. Over 135 of us tonight on this call, focused on a common goal, changing lives around the world. So, Lord, bless our mission, bless our goal, bless the vision that you've given us of 20,000 representatives a month. And we know that that's going to happen from one call at a time, one connection at a time. And we can't wait to see everybody, bring everybody together safely next weekend, Lord, in Dallas for the Rockstar Family Reunion. We're blessed that you brought this into all of our lives, and help us to be able to bless others. And we pray this prayer in the name of your Son's precious name. And everybody said, amen.
Thank you so much. Amen, everybody. I'll see everybody in Texas.
Amen.
Travel safe,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bravo. Good seeing you here.
So much, guys.
2,000 reps a month, everybody. God bless everybody. Travel safe, everybody.
Good night.
See you here.